Hi, I'm Deb Andrews, and I am here with.
I'm Brady Lewis. I am Senior Director of AI of Innovation at Marketri.
Yeah, and I'm the president and owner of Marketri. And today we're here for, I think it's our third edition of what we're calling our Candid Conversations AI and Marketing Unscripted. And that's exactly what this is. This is conversations that Brady and I have almost on a weekly basis. We decide just to focus on three topics and to let you share in some of the things that we talk about week to week, having to do with the intersection of marketing and AI. So, to kick us off in the new year, we're going to talk about really how to stay relevant as a marketer, as a business developer in the AI era. As most of us know, last year was a bit of a rough year as far as layoffs. I read a report, I think it was like around 1.2 million people were laid off their jobs last year. Of course, not all of them in marketing and business development, but I will share that I think this functional area of marketing and BD is being innovated faster than some of the others. And quite frankly, like no functional area is safe from innovation. So everyone needs to be working, pretty hard to stay relevant. And so just to kick this off, Brady, I'm going to toss it over to you as somebody with a computer science background. Obviously, you're immersed in AI every day and probably don't have those same pangs of fear that some of us that do not have those technical skills have. Like, what advice do you have for people at any level, professionals at any level within marketing and business development to try to bone up their skills for this new era?
Yeah, I think just before we jump into that, going back to one of the things that you just said, it really landed with me. I think one of the things that makes this situation with AI and the layoffs that we've seen, the big numbers that we've seen, is that in previous technologies, ultimately jobs are changed, shaped, eliminated in favor of other versions of the job. But I think with AI, we're seeing it happen so quickly. It's all happening like, in big, large chunks. It's hard to deny. It's not as slow and smooth as some of the other technology changes that we've gone through. So I think that, just with I've said this about a lot of things, AI is a different beast psychologically. There's just a lot more that goes into it, especially with, the fear that people feel like they're going to be replaced by AI. And when you package that with these huge layoff numbers we're seeing, it makes for, very scary headlines. But ultimately we've gone through, iteration after iteration of new technologies, and everybody still exists and has jobs after them. And I really don't think that this is going to be a whole lot different from that, aside from just the velocity that everything's happening. But I think in reality, a lot of the same things apply that have applied through our whole life when we're trying to keep ourselves relevant in our professions. Again, you need to make sure that you're following the trends, make sure that you are investing in yourself to educate yourself on these new technologies. I think that we're all pretty comfortable with the fact that AI is not going anywhere, so it's not something that you can just like avoid for the next couple years and feel like you're going to come out on the other side and be fine. I think that you need to have a talk with yourself if you're still avoiding AI, and really accept the fact that this is where things are moving, and you're only doing yourself a disservice the longer that you wait to start educating yourself on it, because the people who are interested in it, the early adopters, the learners that want to know how to make themselves more efficient, more productive, they're not waiting around. They're out there learning. They're out there on the forefront of figuring out new ways to use this technology, and it's really mind blowing. And again, this crazy velocity that AI has, it affects every offshoot of it. So these people that are now learning how to really leverage AI, learning how to use prompt engineering, learning how to use different tools and automations, they're learning so fast as well because of the help of AI, that it's going to be really, really hard to catch up to some of these people and some of these companies that have been, really invested in AI from the beginning. So the longer you wait, just, that's more and more of ground that you have to make up at some point in time if you want to stay on the same pace as your colleagues.
Yeah. Brady, it's a great point. I almost think like the last couple years listening to podcasts, it's kind of like, well, if you think you're behind, you're not behind. Like you just need to lean into it and start, your journey. I almost want to say right now, if you haven't started that journey, you are behind. I mean, I hate to say that because I don't want to invoke fear on people that, might not feel fearful right now. But honestly, like we are 3 years into generative AI, a little over 3 years into ChatGPT and unprecedented growth in AI technologies. And we see it everywhere, not just in using the frontier models, but it's part of like all the technologies that we use every day, like in marketing. HubSpot has an AI feature. It's becoming more prominent in like how you use the tool. And the more that you're not really understanding the technology and how to leverage it, it's like it's going to keep you at a disadvantage almost at every turn. If you find yourself, I would say at this point, still going to Google and doing your research and finding the blue links and things of that nature. I mean, what do you think, Brady? Are folks behind if they're not leveraging Claude or ChatGPT at this point for like some of their everyday tasks?
I absolutely think that they're behind. And I think that there is, so I think that you have the large amount of people that have not done anything with AI. Then I think that you have basically just as large of a group that has played with AI, not taking it a step further to like go take a training course on it, not taking it a step further to use it consistently for months. They've tried it out. And then I think you have a very small group that's on the other side of that that has been really digging into it and is starting to use it, up to its insane capabilities. And that's the group that is going to move out of reach. Those the velocity at which you can learn to do things now and actually execute things now is just insanity. It's so much quicker, so much faster, and it's so much easier. And so, not only is it a time saving thing when we're talking about making sure that you're relevant and stable in your profession, you have to, think rationally. There's going to be a college grad that just came out of school that knows how to use AI well and can do all of the stuff that you're doing. And maybe at 90% of what you're doing it, but they can do it at 90x of what you're doing it. So, it's just very much a situation where this technology is not going away. And not only is it not going away, it's exponentially increasing the distance between you and the people using it. If you still, remain steady and not using AI.
Yeah, absolutely. Over break, we had sort of a quiet week here at Marketri, and it's just like a wonderful time for me to sort of think about things. And one thing I shared with our team last year is that we want to create a group of the most innovative marketers in the world. And at the same time, we don't necessarily have a formal professional development program. I'm like, well, how am I going to help them be? Like, we are innovative and we're naturally curious and we do collaborate. We have lunch and learns and share best practices. But there's a difference between being able to use the tools handily and like really sort of advancing as to where AI is heading, which is towards automation and agentic. And quite frankly, that's why we brought you on board, Brady's, because we felt that we had sort of tapped our knowledge base and really to sort of take this organization and our clients to the next level, we need someone that is a master at that. That said, as marketers, we still need to start to grow that skill set. And so you and I talked over break and we decided to come up with Marketri Academy, which is going to be a 12-month program that we're creating to bit by bit move our marketers from leveraging tools and leveraging best practices to being able to do automations and do maybe more simplistic um, agent creation. Not that they're going to do it every day, but they will have the context from which to be able to go in and consult and see the opportunity for that within a current situation. So I know it's not going to be an easy lift for our team to be learning these things. But I'll tell you, I think there's an air of excitement in Marketry that there's like a planned way for them to actually get there. But I will tell you, the first module that we have actually isn't AI at all. It's strategic thinking. Because at the end of the day, you know, tapping what's uniquely human is that pattern recognition, that ability to kind of put all the pieces of the puzzle together, to bring the things that you've done both personally and professionally together to make judgment calls. And that's going to be really important as you use these tools. So we're starting out with strategy, but to send it back your way, Brady, I mean, I'd love your thoughts on a program like this that honestly, we're not paying for any executive courses. We're kind of creating it based on third-party articles. We're leveraging Claude and ChatGPT to create guides in certain areas. And we're leveraging Brady to help us create like homegrown videos on prompting best practices, et cetera. So any thoughts, Brady, on Marketri Academy and what we're doing here and how other companies might consider embracing something similar within their organization?
Yeah, there are several paths that come to mind when, listening to what you said. The first thing that I was thinking about was, I do come from a tech background. So likely, I wasn't ever as intimidated by any of this stuff as a lot of people were. But I think on the flip side of it, the part that's more important in my type of role with Marketry is that I do understand what the technology is doing. I understand how it works together. I understand how it flows. I understand how it connects together, and so I can possibly the strategic side of things seems to be a little bit easier to me at the beginning just because I understand the capabilities. So, somebody that doesn't know how anything works, if they don't know that A can connect to B, they don't even know that they can come up with something where A connects to B, that type of thing. So I think that it's my responsibility as the tech person or, the tech strong people in your business to bridge that gap to kind of like you kind of have to teach what is capable before somebody has the ability to be strategic about it because they don't even know what they can do with it kind of thing. But I think that I know that, the one of the biggest pieces of AI and technology and what all of these companies are working for and working towards right now and will continue to do is trying to take the technical need out of everything as much as possible so that you don't need a tech person like me to be able to do things. Now, the situation, at least currently, is going to be the technical pieces are removed, but you still have that lack of technical knowledge where even if I can click a button to connect A to B, if I don't know that that's something that can be done or should be done, I still don't know how to make a plan around it. So even though the technical pieces are removed, still as kind of like the technical person has to still kind of train on what is even capable. And then, as people understand what they can build, then they can start coming up with ideas. And as they work through them, they'll, understand how it can expand this way and it can expand this way. And then start being able to do that strategic type of thinking. But there has to be at some point in time in the channel that you have to be taught what can even be done with these tools. So I think that while the technical necessities are being removed from the training side, there's still that need for that like technical liaison that can give people the understanding and the software is going to give them the power. And you have to have that combination in order to be most successful.
For sure. I mean, Brady, since you've been here, I feel like we've just grown and learned through having conversations. And I'm never like, now I'm not surprised. Like when we talk, you'll bring something up like, oh, yeah, we can build that. Maybe we don't think about purchasing this expensive software because we only really need this small piece of something and we can actually build that and put it together. And so you're right. Like having that knowledge of what is possible is kind of the foundational element to being able to think about, AI within an organization and how to really advance. So, to all those folks out there who are worried about starting on your AI journey, I think what Brady and I are saying, get busy on the AI journey. If you are on it, kudos to you, stay on it. And perhaps ask your employer as to how they are helping upskill you and your colleagues to be ready for this next round of innovation in the professional workforce. So, with that, we're going to move into our second topics. It's one that, I would say, for the past 4 or 5 months here at Marketri, we've been leaning into quite heavily, which how AI, generative AI, search habits, AIO, it is affecting website and website development. We at Marketri are rebranding, and we are undertaking a website development project, and went out to probably 10 different companies based upon large language model searches to find a development company that could help us really identify best practices in this new era, knowing that AI agents are searching our websites, people are searching it differently, and habits are changing, and really kind of coming up blank with a company or a partner that was coding in the new way, strategizing the new way. And so we're like, well, we're just going to have to fill that gap for ourselves, and started having multiple sessions about what are the best practices in websites and website development in the AI era. And so, Brady, I'm going to kick it over to you to kind of share some of the things that we've learned through our research over the past couple months.
Sure. Yeah. So, I was relatively surprised when we started talking to the companies, and it was more so I felt like they hadn't even really considered it. Like they not only did they not have like a specific plan, like, yeah, this is what we do for this is how we handle this and all this stuff. It was I read it as, yeah, I don't really know. We haven't really thought of it. We don't have any specifics around that. Yes, they're of course they're going to say yes, we're going to build it in an optimized way. But if that doesn't mean anything, then it doesn't mean anything. So we were really left with no option of just strictly going with somebody. We had to take it on ourselves, and you did a lot of research and came up with some best practices. And obviously, Pilar and I have researched the PR side of things and how it all kind of works together. And through all of those different research methods, we kind of put together our own checklist of what we would want to see in websites moving forward when we're talking about new development, and some ways to like specifically strategize around GEO and making your website optimized for AIO and LLM, so that when people are out researching on ChatGPT or getting AI overviews in Google, your content is showing up, your brand's being mentioned, and I don't see this is probably going to be the way that's going to be moving forward for at least the next several years, if not the next decade or two. So the fact that we struggled to find anybody that was at least excited about it was kind of surprising to me. So
If
yeah,
it was, if that's what you do every day, is development, and there's generative AI, and it is changing the way people are searching and finding websites, it's only kind of natural to think, okay, the way websites function for people and for agents need to change. I mean, give us an example, Brady, of like, what's one thing, maybe content, how that might show up differently on a website in the new era.
sure. So yeah, when we start talking about content, that's where the term GEO comes into, and a lot of other of these like three-letter terms. But we're talking about generative engine optimization, and so we're talking about optimizing our content to be read by LLMs. So most people are familiar with SEO. That is a content optimization method, to where you're trying to optimize your content to be read better and analyzed by the old Google algorithms, the search algorithms. But the LLMs, they function differently, and they're looking for different things. So in an old school landing page, you would have a bunch of text, long walls of text because you're trying to get keywords in, you're trying to get density of the topics and all those things because that's how the old algorithms work. That's how Google search results work. LLMs are taking your content and actually reading it and trying to quickly deduce what you're saying if you're answering the question that they're looking for. So you want to start having your text and your content specifically optimized so that it can be read quickly by these LLMs. So we're talking about chunked up text instead of long walls of text. We're talking about more descriptive H2 headers for different sections in your content so that the LLM can quickly get the idea of what the content's going to be and then read that snippet of the content if they want, and including like specific how-to steps or FAQs in the content. All of that structured type of data, that's the type of data that the LLMs can hit your site, parse through it quickly, immediately, determine if they're going to use it or not. But that speed is extremely important. That's why we want to optimize it just as best we can. So if you think about like the old search results, Google took into account how long it took your page to load, and if it was too slow, that was going to ding you. It's the same thing with LLMs. If they hit your content and can't read it quickly, they're moving on. So there are a lot of things that are similar to SEO types of things, but have variations or tweaks. And so it's not exactly the same. And there are multiple things like this that just if you really want to start a website and focus on it being as AI friendly as possible, then these are some of the types of things that you would want to build in from the get go.
Yeah. No, that's great, Brady. It definitely gives like folks out there that might be listening an idea of like how the page structure might change, kind of putting the answers first in neat summaries, very easy for people to read, very easy for LLMs to read. I have this vision in my mind though of what I want to see in a website. And quite honestly, I'm kind of hoping our new website looks a bit like this, but it almost as if you never have to navigate onto multiple pages of a website. I know from a marketing standpoint, that was kind of the holy grail of how we measure success on a web page is that they went on 4 pages and stayed for 2 minutes. I'm almost wondering if that whole thing is rewinding, whether we really care. If I could go on a site and be impressed with the way it looked visually, but be able to get into a chat bot and have it ask me how it can help me today, just like my friend Claude does. You're back at it, Deb. What do you need today? And I'm typing in there, I want to know about your company. How do you service marketing agencies? And it brings forward the information that I need to make a decision so that I'm not having to poke on different pages. It's almost like people are getting lazier and lazier. And I get it because I am too. As you get used to this sort of instant answers and getting exactly what you want, why would you have to go poking around someone's website? Am I crazy? Like, what do you think of this thought?
No, no, not at all. I think that a lot of people um, see that as the way that it's going to, and I agree. I agree completely. I think that that's the way that it's going, and we'll even take it a step further that we're already seeing agents being able to take action within websites. So I think that the human visual aspect is going to be even less important because agents will be able to act on your behalf. But I will also throw into the mix. I think that that is one of the overarching goals of the LLMs companies themselves, like ChatGPT. So they came out with their own browser. Comet has their own browser. In my opinion, their goal is to own your entire ecosystem. You're never going to have to leave their apps to do anything because, just within the last couple months, ChatGPT now has apps built into ChatGPT. Photoshop, even these big powerful apps again, so you don't ever have to leave ChatGPT. So I think it will be an
Mm.
interesting battle between an individual website trying to do a lot of the things that the browser itself would do. So I look more to the interaction between like a Comet browser and the code in your website more so than I think that the way that you see UIs going in general is how it's going to be. I just don't know if it's going to be at the individual level or if these companies are going to own our entire, browser experience, and they're going to handle it.
That is pretty interesting to think about. I think we'll see this evolve quite a bit more over 2026, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think that, just like I was mentioning the velocity earlier, I think that the changes and the improvements that are we're going to see over the next several years are going to be faster than we've ever seen before.
Whew, buckle up and get ready.
Oh, yeah.
So, one of our, I think, most popular segments is our tool segment. And today we are going to talk about Perplexity pages. I don't know how many of you out there use Perplexity, which is a RAG, a retrieval augmented generation. So, it's not a large language model, but actually pulls information from LLMs and is really great at doing certain types of research. It has a feature called Pages, and I'm going to turn it over to Brady to explain what are Perplexity pages and show an example of how we have recently used it.
Sure, yeah. So Perplexity is a really great tool, and it's getting, I think, better and better. It's one of my handful of go-tos that I use all the time. But one of the cooler features that they've had for a few months now, um, you can use what they call labs, Perplexity labs. So when you go to use their tool, you can just use a regular conversation, or you can do deep research, or you can choose this labs option. And basically, what it does is it gives Perplexity the capability to actually write code and build code, or like build website pages within the app itself. So, what we've started doing, and I really enjoy doing it. I think it makes things a lot helpful. Is when we have something like a large report that's very dense. The In this specific example, Deb, you had put together a list of like 60 um, best practices having to do with websites and such. And it was a fantastic list, and I think you used Claude to generate it. Um, and so when I got it, as I was reading through it, I was thinking, I'd like to see a better way to organize these different things to actually be able to use it as a checklist or a tool. And so I just simply went to Perplexity, and in the labs option, I just attached the full file that you gave me and asked it to generate an interactive dashboard to make the information more visually organized and usable. And that's the extent of what I had to prompt it with, and it takes maybe 4 or 5 minutes to build the code, and you can watch it write the code as it's doing it right on the screen. And then once it's done, you have an HTML dashboard that you can download and upload to your own website if you want, or just use it directly in um, Perplexity, and it gives you the option to share it by link. So just within Perplexity, you can create something and give it to everybody that's interested. But I'll share my screen real quick just to show the what we were able to do within just a couple of minutes based on that report you generated out of Claude. This was the page that Perplexity built within just a couple minutes, and you can see there were 51 items total in your report, and it kind of broke them out into its different sections. So now you can go to the different top level sections and see those tips um, in their categories instead of just a huge list. And it also went ahead and made it into a checklist so that you can actually keep track of the items as you implement them, and you can export your progress. You can reset it. You can use it over and over again. And all of this stuff, you can see it's even keeping track of the items that I have completed up here in real time. All of this was done simply by taking that report that you had already generated, putting it into Perplexity, selecting the labs feature, and asking it to create an interactive dashboard out of it. And in just a couple minutes, we've had this, and we've used this on 10 different calls. We've had it in front of clients, all from just the little Perplexity prompt. It's really amazing.
It's so true. And we couldn't have just like dumped all of this research on a client and had this make any sense. But since we've been on calls with clients about their website projects and really how we're approaching it, this Perplexity page and the way it's displayed has made all the difference. And we will be using this as we embark on our website project, which is underway, and our clients' website projects this year. So, pretty handy tool and very easy to use.
Absolutely. It's one of one of the easiest ways right now for a non-technical person, such as a marketer, to do something that really stands out.
Love it. All right, Brady. Well, thanks for showing us that. And thank you to anyone out there who might be listening to our candid conversation. We're going to try to do these a couple times a month and get busy on your learning. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.